Welcome back to the Quinexus podcast. I'm Chuck.
I'm Jack.
Today we're going to talk about the CIS 18 critical controls and how it relates to cyber insurance and the Ohio Data Protection Act. So first, Jack, let's define what is the CIS 18.
The CIS 18 was created by the Center for Internet Security, and it defines 18 critical controls that every organization should implement. It is broken down into 3 implementation groups. There's level 1, there's level 2, and level 3. Level 1 consists of 56 safeguards. Level 2 adds an additional 74 safeguards. That takes it to 130 safeguards. And level 3 adds some very rigorous safeguards, 23 to be specific, taking the total safeguards up to 153. Level 1 is defined as cyber hygiene. This is what every organization should be doing. And you mentioned cyber insurance in the introduction. Cyber insurance is getting more and more difficult to get. If you meet these level implementation group 1 requirements, you've met the requirements that just about every cyber policy is looking for.
Jack, I've heard of the Cybersecurity Framework. How does the CIS 18 differ from that framework?
The Cybersecurity Framework is a true framework, which gives you items that need to be addressed. The CIS controls actually list actionable specific controls. When I mentioned numbers, like implementation group 1 has 56 safeguards. Those are 56 actionable items, a checklist that you would show that you are compliant and you meet that requirement.
Give me some examples. What are some of these actionable items that we're talking about?
Let's look at the specific controls. Inventory control is number 1 of the CIS 18. What does that mean? Organizations need to know what computers, what devices, including the Internet of Things, all the devices that are hooked up to the environment. So doing an inventory is the first control. At a very basic level for implementation group 1 to satisfy this requirement, if you walk around with a notebook or a logbook and manually take an inventory, and on a regular basis, maybe once a month, once a quarter, or at least annually, you've updated that, you know what your hardware assets are on the network. At a more technical level, you might be looking at the DHCP server on the network. Every device that connects to the network needs an IP address. That's provided by a DHCP server. You can go into the DHCP server and look at what addresses have been assigned to devices. And you can print that out, and that qualifies as a list. There's also more sophisticated tools. Some are free, some cost, and again, at a higher implementation group, you'd have to do a network scan that would go out and actually scan all the devices on the network and identify them through the database that's internal to these scanning tools to tell you more details about everything on those systems. The second one is software inventory. Again, you could manually log the software that's on all the systems. You can have some automated tools go out and scan the network and give you that software inventory. Number 3 is data protection. You need to identify where your data is being stored, especially critical data that you need to protect that might have personally identifiable information. If you're an insurance company, where are the applications kept? Are they on thumb drives? Are they on the server? Are they on the workstations? All these things need to be identified. We talked about the Cybersecurity Framework. That consists of, and it is a framework, it consists of 5 functions. The first function is identify. What we're doing in the top 3 of these controls is we're identifying where your data is, we're identifying where every piece of hardware, and we're identifying all the software. So again, we have very actionable items.
If a small business wants to implement these controls, how would they get started?
Here's the great news about the CIS 18. It's free. To get a copy, you can go to the Center for Internet Security's website and download version 8, which is the latest version of the CIS 18. You can also download specific implementation guides And I recommend if you're new to cybersecurity and wanting to meet these requirements for meeting the Ohio Data Protection Act requirements or cyber insurance policy requirements, download Implementation Group 1 and get started. The Center for Internet Security is trying very hard to make it, I want to use the word easy, but make it obtainable to meet the CIS 18 controls, especially at the cyber hygiene level, which is Implementation Group 1.
If you need more information about the CIS 18 controls, go out to the site Jack mentioned and download them and take a look. Once you get in there, if you feel like you need some help implementing these controls, feel free to reach out to us. We would be happy to have a conversation. Again, thanks for joining us. If you enjoy the content we're making here, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.